Chapter 2 is what made me a true Deltarune fan. The second chapter did pretty much everything right for me. Everything from small quality of life things to the overall writing. Most notably, enemies have a mercy bar this time around, so you know exactly how close you are to being able to use the mercy button. And finally, the party members can use their acts on their turns and it's not always tied to Chris. And do I really need to talk about the music? Of course it's fucking great. Toby Fox is a masterful composer. Creative and colorful, and the sprite art is as wonderful as ever, and will only get better from here. I like the enemies too. They're so full of personality. The overall setting is pretty cool too. It's very Tron inspired, or even Battle Network. It has a fun end boss too, a Punch-Out inspired fight. Didn't expect to see that inside of a computer. And of course the characters are pretty funny. I like Queen, she's a delightfully goofy antagonist. Heck, even Burley has a few funny lines here and there. But perhaps most importantly for me is the overall story. It builds upon the first chapter so well. It knows what characters to keep and what to call back to, and how to build upon it. It truly set the foundation going forward. Notably, Susie is now a very decent character. She was not the easiest person to work with in chapter 1, but her character development has kicked in now, and now she is a true friend in every sense of the word. I just like seeing how different she is from the first chapter, especially towards the end. Earlier she couldn't give a shit about friendship and all, but now she would die for Raza and Chris. And it feels natural and well done. I can believe most of her character development, because as I said before, the writing and characters overall so well done and honestly relatable in a lot of senses, to the point that she almost feels like she's based on a real person. Yes, she's a monster from a fantasy world, but her personality and struggles feel real and genuine. And the overall development feels well paced enough that it never feels rushed or forced. And yes, the elephant in the room, Noelle. She is probably what single-handedly made me a Deltarune fan. And it comes back to what I was saying about the general writing. Because in chapter 1 she was kind of just there, didn't say or do much. And then this happens, like, what? She's a major character now? But again, somehow it doesn't feel forced. Toby Fox has this general thing that he likes setting things up in the background, and all of a sudden that things take full front and center and becomes the highlight of something. I can't truly describe it, like it wasn't foreshadowed technically, but it just feels organic, like she was always meant to be here. And the segment where you hang out with her is one of my favorites in any video game ever. Because although that segment is basically her just talking to herself out loud, Chris doesn't really say much. And when they do say something, it's only because we, the player, forced them to do so. But it somehow feels so well done and well written. It really feels like it's two very close friends that drifted apart, which just happens in life, and are kind of reconnecting now in a weird sense. Also, remember to subscribe and become a YouTube member. Or support me on Patreon. Early access, emotes, and the second tier will give you some behind the scenes stuff that's coming soon. Thank you so much for your support. We can tell how close they used to be because she keeps bringing up things from their childhood. Like if you examine this thing about the Ferris wheel, she'd be like, oh, I wish I could go one day. And if you say, I'll take you, she'd be like, you mean like last time when you shook the whole thing and I almost fell out? No thanks, I know there's a catch with you, Chris. Again, it feels real and earned. I don't feel like I'm being told exposition. It feels like naturalistic things and dialogue being said between two friends. Even if one of them is very quiet, you can tell that there's history behind these two. Especially towards the end of the segment when they're walking around and she's just telling about this memory she has, how much she misses her sister, while literally spelling out her name. Which also sets the mystery of who was Des, which is another thing that they kind of kept in the background and all of a sudden takes full front and center spotlight, which I talked about earlier. It just leads so well into each other. I can't describe it, but it works. Most of the chapter is kind of like this. Yes, it's goofy and it's quirky. There's stupid boss fights and not everything makes sense or flow perfectly into each other. But every moment just works, even in a vacuum. Even when someone has spammed him, you can probably write him out from the chapter and you won't miss a thing, story-wise. But he has evidently captured the hearts of millions and even inspired something as a digital circus. I can only speak for myself, but I think that's fucking cool. Because he is really fun and memorable, like most of the characters. And it wouldn't have worked if the writing wasn't good. As I mentioned in one of my favorite moments video, the characters, despite literally being monsters, most of them, just feel human. Like they have real problems grounded in reality. Especially with someone like Noelle. And she is a very good example of this. She has clearly been hurt before. Like her dad is dying. And who knows what happened to her sister. And by the time of chapter 2's release, nobody knew. But it's not good. We can tell that much. And I promise you, and I speak from experience when I say that having a close one die will fuck you up forever. And just waiting for them to die is one of the least fun things I can imagine. And that's exactly what Noelle is going through. But she's always trying to be positive because that's just who she is. I like that she doesn't say outright why they drifted apart. Her and Chris, I mean. But as I said, that's just life. Sometimes you can be close friend with someone and then you all of a sudden will stop talking and never speak to each other again. It sucks, but it's just how it goes sometimes. Which is why it's so fun to see them reconnect. And someone as Susie, who is clearly not doing that well, because you don't become a school bully if you're feeling well. Who is probably for the first time ever experiencing true friendship. And as it turns out, she's very kind and extremely loyal. Even if she's brash and a bit aggressive sometimes, even after her character development, she is such a good friend. Most people back in hometown will probably be extremely shocked to see that. But that was there all along. She wasn't changed or redeemed in my opinion. She was just given a time to shine. Raisai at this point didn't get quite enough of his character development or why he's the way he is. That didn't happen until chapter 4. But you can see some signs of it, like how he's very clingy to Chris and trying a little too hard, almost like Ragatha, to be positive sometimes. I know people who are like this. That is what made this chapter stand out to me and why it connected with me finally. That behind all this quirky and goofiness and earthbound inspirations were good writing with solid fucking characters. And as I said, every chapter after this has just built upon it, giving more wonderful character development. I can't truly describe it. All I can say, it just feels right. Had it not been for this chapter, I probably wouldn't have fallen in love with the entire franchise. I am not saying this chapter was completely flawless and everything. Some of the mini-games aren't that great. The castle segments goes on for a little too long. Some scenes can be more annoying than funny. Not every single goddamn joke works. While I'm not gonna forget about the weaker parts, I don't think that's what defines a piece of media. Or a piece of art. As pretentious as it may sound, I do think that Deltarune is art. Like most video games. It really feels like a story that can truly only be told in video game form. Which is kind of explored in later chapters, but I'm talking about chapter 2 here. And the fact that it is a video game kind of plays into it. The fact that we're controlling a character who's walking around a screen, which probably can't be done in a different medium. I'm not saying it's redefining what a video game is, it just knows what piece of medium it is and works through it to the fullest. And tells a story that would be difficult to tell in otherwise. Ultimately, I can only speak for myself. But Deltarune Chapter 2 really did change my life. I owe so much just to this chapter's mere existence. I played this during the darkest time in my life, and inspired me to start doing voice acting and general YouTube videos. I literally wouldn't have been here, sitting here today if I hadn't played that. Just because it's cheesy doesn't make it less true, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I don't think Toby Fox or anyone involved in this game will ever see this, but in case you are, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. you have made something truly special and spectacular. And this chapter was only the beginning of it. Your hard work is appreciated.